Well, Greg, welcome to 160 Studios.
Thank you. Good to be back.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
And boy, we got exciting times for you and Distalmotion. So
yes.
Congratulations on the CEO role.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Glad to share my first thoughts with you. Glad to see you're back okay from Europe yourself. So.
Yeah, France was, people are sleeping on France, but not that much anymore. But you know, while we stay in Europe, Distalmotion's up in Switzerland.
Yep.
And the Dexter platform, and I think people are familiar with it. But let's jump into, what was it about Dexter in particular that attracted you to take the leadership role there in particular?
Yeah, so I'm gonna maybe take it one level higher and say, what was it about Distalmotion for 1 second? So first, it was people, right? So, and learnings over the years, the right investors, an incredible team. Michael Frederick is a great leader, has set the company up for great success, and I'm excited to work with him. So great people, great team, great R&D. You know, now is again this maturation from an R&D based company to now focusing on commercialization. So really excited there. The product, incredibly unique, and I know we'll talk about it a bunch, but small form factor, fully robotic solution. I think we're going to address quite a few needs relative to laparoscopic surgeries that don't have an opportunity to be empowered by robotics. So really excited about the product. Then we have what I'll say is the potential, and I think that's what I love about Distalmotion is they're going to where the ball is not today. So again, new site of care, 2.7 million procedures in the U.S., and again we'll talk about this that have an unmet need in robotics. And then you know the last thing is for me is around potential is this is very mature from a U.S. perspective. So we're very close to having U.S. submittal for FDA for our first indication. And you know, you combine those four things and what a great opportunity. So really running towards it.
And Dexter, it's not a baby in the space either. If I'm not mistaken, you've got 700 plus procedures underneath your belt. You've got CE mark in 2020.
Yep.
25 plus types of procedures. But what I want to chat about, and you mentioned it, is let's be where the market is today and where it's going. And that brings up the changing centers of care, ASCs in particular, and procedures that probably will gravitate towards there in a middle, lower acuity than potentially in a hospital, though Dexter does fit in both venues.
Yeah.
So how are you thinking about the ASC model right now?
Yeah, so maybe I'll go backwards a little bit with my time with Roche and just say that, you know, we learned very quickly that we had to address all sites of care, not only for the surgeons, but for the patients. So you want to have continuity no matter where the patient is served. So that, you know, I mean, and I know you've had a lot of discussions about expanding into the ASC, but when you look at statistically, there's 1,100 centers that perform, you know, the types of laparoscopic procedures that we're going after in gynecology and general surgery. So when you think of hysterectomy, you think of hernia, you think of lap chole, all these, this is a high volume of procedures that really aren't served with robotics today. And then again, as I mentioned, you know, if you think about the patient, you want to empower that patient to have robotic care no matter where they want to go. So the ASC has so many benefits relative to patient experience and how quickly they can get in and out of a hospital setting or, you know, a care setting. So that to me is really the power of Dexter. You know, so it's small formats. It doesn't require a dedicated room. It has disposable instruments. So you don't need to have the big requirements around sterilization. You can move it. It's flexible. It's easy to set up. And again, probably the most important thing, you know, economically, we're providing, you know, what I would say is a highly technical robot at great value, which is, of course, really important when you think of changing site of care.
Yeah, and what's really interesting is the surgical robotics field continues to mature. Still early, right? I'm going to say it's barely in its adolescence years, but that's where we are right now. And when you define the word robot just 5 or 7 years ago, you couldn't help but say, okay, Da Vinci, right? That if you look that up in the dictionary, that's what it was there. But one of the things that Distal is taking advantage of, and I think it's where surgical robotics are going, still a very complex ecosystem, but it's also being clever, adding value by saying, listen, somebody's already selected their stack, meaning on the visualization side. Listen, a surgeon likes his or her stapler, energy device, clip applier. And to try and be best in class across all of those, I think is a little bit of a lofty goal.
Yeah, it's if you try to be good at everything, you probably are great at everything. You're probably going to fail to be great, right? And so for us, we're very focused on wristed instruments, being able to utilize the robot for suturing, dissection, working in confined spaces, which I think all the larger format robots also provide. But that's the nicety, right? So I mean, growing up in the visualization market, as I did, I know the hue, the color, the depth all matter. And you cannot be an expert at robotics and be an expert in visualization and be an expert in AI and data. You have to pick and choose where you're going to master your craft. And we're picking robotics, so fully wristed instruments, et cetera. But that's the great thing about Dexter. You can apply any visualization system that you like. You can use any energy device that you like. If you have a preferred stapling application, you can use that and apply it to Dexter as well. So you don't necessarily have to change really anything, but you get the full benefits of a robotic system. So I really, really excited and passionate about that particular fact, because as you know, and again, I think a topic you talk about a lot, when you start to change things for a surgeon relative to what is their opinion is of what's best for a patient at that particular moment in time, or you're injecting things in the workflow or changing workflow, adapting the technology becomes much more difficult. And to me, I feel like Dexter is the surgeon's robot. You're applying Dexter at the points of care when needed most to apply robotics, and not necessarily working around the workflow of the robot.
And that's an important part, especially if I go back 5 or 6 years, when you took a robot to market, and I don't care if it was an ortho, soft tissue, whatever it was, at the top of the list was features. And I don't want to minimize features because they're really important. In the market we're in today and the market we are in moving forward, it's going about what's the economic proposition and how does that balance against patient care and how do I empower the patient? And so I'm starting to see a simplification, not a lack of elegance, but a simplification of point of application of a robot, right place, right time, right equipment, right mission.
Yeah. I think I would say in these terms, I love the word simple and I love the word elegant. And I think that's the beauty of great technology. It is simple. When you start to add features and complexities, again, it just makes it more difficult. It adds cost. And maybe the right places, but maybe not. So we really think of Dexter as simple. And again, when I say simple, it doesn't mean that it's not highly technical. This is a great device. What I mean is very easy to learn, to use the device. We see people get on and they have really a natural feel with the robot in under 10 minutes, first time applying it. It's also very easy to set up. It's very easy for the staff. And again, when you talk about adaptation of tech, it needs to be easy. People use iPhones because it's easy, right? They've put a lot of thought into how things are applied. And I think that's one of the things why I'm running at this opportunity so hard. It is simple and elegant. And again, that doesn't take away that there's been 12 years of development on this product. It's very difficult to make something simple. And the team has done an amazing job at doing that.
You've had a great career that sets you up well for this play at Distal right now. You've come out of Stryker, right? You launched a surgical robot. You played in the ASC model. You've built teams. Convergence at a really good time of ASC's great surgical robotic platform, your career. what are the lessons you're going to pull into that leadership role over at Distal?
Yeah, so I mean, number one, I mean, given where we are from a stage perspective, I mean, I think your background as well, you know this, talent is everything. So we're going to be really focused on building out the team in the right way, hiring the right people, you know, making sure that we can serve patients and physicians in the best way that we can. So that's really important. The second piece is the importance of site of care. You know, and I learned that in a really good way at my time at Zimmer, that it is absolutely important that you have technology that can move from a hospital to an ASC, again, to standardize the type of care that you're providing to each patient. So that's really important. One of the things that I think people underplay is how you present an offer to a hospital customer is almost as important as what you're offering. So, you know, flexible financial terms or ways to work, you know, with and around CapEx. These things are really, really important, again, for people to adopt technology. I mean, I think if you look back 10, 15 years ago, it was, you know, whatever the check is, we cut it and then you know, the hospital will deal with it. Well, that's not how it is today. So I think really providing freedoms to the customer and being flexible is ultimately really important. You know, again, at the end of the day, I mean, I know I said it before, but to create value where things are going, not where they've been. And again, Distalmotion is creating value in a new site of care, and that doesn't necessarily only mean ASCs. Some of our biggest European hospitals, multi-specialty, multi-modality, could never acquire a robot for various reasons. And now, you know, are using, as you said, 25 plus procedures that have been done in some of the core robotic procedures that we know, but they've never been able to garner a robot before that day. So all these things together, I mean, you know, I feel like this is kind of the right experience for the perfect opportunity. It was a great marriage.
Yeah. So we're moving into the end of 2023 here into 2024.
Yeah.
And so what does the next year or so look like in regards to activities for Distalmotion?
Yeah, so I mentioned kind of my last, why Distalmotion for me, and I said proximity to FDA. And so, you know, the next year, we're very close to an FDA submittal for our first indication with Dexter. We're really, really excited about that. Obviously, that's the team's hard work, not mine. I'm coming in, maybe skiing downhill a little bit on that one, but still some work to do, but really excited about that. But with that comes a lot of work relative to how we serve the customer and a build out of US organization and all the things that we know go into providing great service around a highly technical product and a robot. So we're going to start doing that. And then, you know, I would say from a European perspective, really, you know, we have a combined strategy. So we're really looking in Europe to continue to master and learn. As you said, 700 procedures, 25 different procedure types. We're learning, we're evolving, we're prepping for indication expansion in the US. So we'll continue to master there, continue to grow procedural volume, you know, over the next year. So we have you know, there's a lot of work to be done and a lot of building still to do. But like I said, from a maturation perspective, I was very pleased the minute that I walked in the door.
And certainly I've tracked your career over the years, and I got to bet that there's ex-teammates of yours salivating right now on the commercial build, whenever that is, coming out and going out to attack that market. So that'll be a lot of fun for you and fun to watch as well. Closing, how do you see the surgical robotic market continuing to evolve? Right, we've got different players, different form factors. Economics are as important as features. So as a leader, where are you going to make sure you keep your eyes on the proverbial Gretzky hockey puck downrange?
Yeah. So again, when I initially said, you know, we believe the current market in the U.S., 1,100 ASCs performing, you know, 2.7 million procedures that are unmet. So 85% of the market is not served with a robot. Again, we have to continue to challenge, right, and make technology easy to adapt to, easy to acquire. and easy to use, so that it's not just for the specialty cases, but we can apply it for all patients. And I think I really, you see a lot of people talking about smaller formats, different types of robotics. These are all complementary trends, in my opinion. I think 10 years from now, robotics will be applied everywhere. But it takes a system like Dexter or other systems to really drive that there. So, to me, I look at the market, and there's a couple trends that I think we both agree on. Number one, robotics will continue to be more and more prevalent in the surgical spaces. Number two, information and data is everything. And then number three, you need to empower people relative to telepresence and bringing things to people, not necessarily because you have geographical disconnects. So there's a lot that's going to happen, but again, I know you're close to it too. I just see so many different types of opportunities for people, and Dexter is one great one.
Yeah. I'm excited. Certainly going to be fun to watch Dexter come to the U.S. I love the fact that it's a $9 billion market, 50% year-over-year growth, probably higher than that coming up. So I think you're right leader on the right sort of horse, if you will, running towards the right target. So congratulations again.
Thank you so much.
And appreciate you being your first stop off as we announce this.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. I appreciate the time.
I'm Joe Mullings from 160 Studios. Be well.